Vincent Palermo, known in the underworld as Vinny Ocean, was a high-ranking figure in the DeCavalcante crime family, a New Jersey mafia dynasty that inspired the hit HBO series The Sopranos. His life is a gripping tale of power, betrayal, and redemption, blending the ruthless reality of organized crime with a shocking fall from grace. Health Wealth Diary presents the real-life Tony Soprano. This is the Vinny Ocean story. Vinny was born in Brooklyn, New York, in 1944. He came from a close-knit, hard-working family who migrated from Sicily. He was an altar boy and a straight-A student. When Vinny was 16, his father passed away, which forced him to leave school and work 2 jobs to help support his family. One of those jobs was at the Fulton Fish Market, where he earned the nickname Vinny Ocean. In the late 1960s, Vinny married the niece of crime boss Sam DeCavalcante of the DeCavalcante crime family. DeCavalcante took a liking to his nephew-in-law and began inviting him to visit his social clubs in New Jersey. This is where Vinny learned the ins and outs of how the mob operates. The DeCavalcante crime family is one of the lesser-known mafia families, primarily operating out of New Jersey. Even though they were barely respected and somewhat looked down upon from the other 5 families in New York, their role in organized crime was very significant. The family's golden age came under Sam DeCavalcante in the 1960s. He ran a successful plumbing business as a front, while expanding into loan sharking, extortion, and construction racketeering. Sam built political and union influence, making the DeCavalcantes the dominant crime family in New Jersey. However, in 1969, Sam was convicted for racketeering, and after his imprisonment, the family slowly declined. DeCavalcante retired in the late 1970s, appointing John Riggi as the family's new boss. By the 1980s, Vinny was a key player in the DeCavalcante family. He was actively involved in illegal gambling, loan sharking, extortion, and labor racketeering. His ability to generate money and handle mob affairs efficiently earned him respect among his fellow gangsters. Vinny's most lucrative business was Wiggles, his strip club in Queens, New York. Wiggles not only brought a big chunk of change, but also served as a headquarters for mob meetings, much like the Bada Bing in The Sopranos. By the late 1980s, Vinny had climbed the ranks of the family, becoming a captain of his own crew. His defining moment came in 1989, when he played a key role in the murder of Fred Weiss, a former newspaper editor turned real estate investor. Weiss was suspected of cooperating with authorities, and John Gotti, boss of the Gambino family, wanted him whacked. Gotti asked the DeCavalcante family to handle the hit as a favor. On September 11, 1989, Vinny and 2 of his crew members, Anthony Capo and James Gallo, on orders from new DeCavalcante boss John Riggi, drove to the Staten Island condominium of Weiss's girlfriend. As Weiss left the building and climbed into his car, Vinny and his crew ambushed him and shot him multiple times. This move would make Vinny respected not just by his family, but also by John Gotti and the Gambinos as well. In 1990, DeCavalcante boss John Riggi was indicted on state and federal extortion charges and appointed John D'Amato as his acting boss. D'Amato was a veteran gangster with a long criminal record. He was a wise guy that loved money and did anything to get it. He was known to be very paranoid, never talked about illegal activities on the phone or even in cars, believing there was bugs planted by law enforcement everywhere he went. D'Amato also had a real close relationship with Gambino boss John Gotti. He was said to have did anything Gotti asked for, from murders to even collecting minor debts. This made a lot of his Jersey counterparts very suspicious of D'Amato questioning his loyalty to the family. In late 1990, D'Amato even conspired with Gotti and Gotti's underboss, Sammy the Bull Gravano, to whack Gaetano Corky Vastola, who was also a high-ranking member of the DeCavalcante family. This was all because Gotti wanted full control of the New Jersey racket, and Vastola, who was very loyal to John Riggi, was standing in his way. Luckily for Vastola, Gotti was indicted by the FBI in December of that year. After Gotti's arrest, D'Amato's paranoia went through the roof. He separated himself from most of the family and trusted no one. In 1991, D'Amato's girlfriend, retaliating against D'Amato over an argument, told Anthony Capo, who was one of Vinny's crew members, that D'Amato was an active bisexual. She described swinging encounters that D'Amato and her had in Manhattan sex clubs with both women and men.
And then that's when I saw him with a very rather large black man. And Johnny was having oral sex with this man.
Similar to the Vito Spadafori character in The Sopranos, D'Amato was a closet homosexual who kept it a secret because in the mob, being gay was a big no-no. Anthony Capo wasted no time and told Vinny about D'Amato's sexual activities. Vinny knew that this would cause embarrassment to the family, especially if word got out to the other New York families. So Vinny did what he thought was the right thing to do: get rid of D'Amato. After getting full approval from the family, the hit was carried out on D'Amato in January 1992. On the day of the attack, Vinny told D'Amato that they would have a meeting at an undisclosed location. D'Amato, paranoid as always, he insisted he would take his own car. Vinny hopped in the front and Capo in the back. As soon as D'Amato parked the car, Anthony Capo pulled out a gun and shot D'Amato 4 times. John D'Amato's body was never found. After the murder of D'Amato, underboss Jake Amari was promoted within the organization and placed as acting boss of the DeCavalcante crime family. However, Amari's reign would not last long. In 1995, it was reported that Amari was diagnosed with stomach cancer and could no longer run the family. Similar to the character of Jackie Aprile Sr. in The Sopranos, who also died of cancer, leaving Tony in charge of his operation. After Jake Amari's death, there was no clear candidate to become the new acting boss. John Riggi, still in prison, refused to appoint a new boss to avoid a potential power struggle. So Riggi decided to appoint the 3 captains of the family to the panel. This included Vinny Ocean, Jimmy Palermo, no relation to Vinny, and Charles Big Ears Maggiore. However, Maggiore, furious that he wasn't appointed acting boss, decided to put a hit out on the 2 Palermos and take effective control of the DeCavalcante family. He asked Jimmy Gallo to whack Vinny, but Gallo, who was a longtime friend and confidant of Vinny, alerted him about the murder plot. When Vinny found out about the murder plot against him, he decided to whack Maggiore first. Maggiore, who ran the labor unions, gained a lot of enemies by removing fellow wise guys from their union jobs and taking their money, so getting rid of him would bring pleasure to a lot of people. And the best part is, nobody would know where it came from. Vinny ordered his crew members Anthony Capo and his new protege and personal bodyguard, Joseph Masella, to find and whack Maggiore. Maggiore found out about the hit and eventually stepped down from his position, making Vinny Ocean the official acting boss of the DeCavalcante family. Vinny Ocean was now the man in the New Jersey mob. Like Tony Soprano, he also lived a lavish life. They both lived in a mansion, had a loving family, and of course, they both had a strip club as a cover for their criminal activities. But the biggest comparison between the two involves 3 simple letters: FBI. Constant FBI surveillance was something both men had to deal with on a daily basis. The irony of this is that the DeCavalcante family was on wiretaps discussing how The Sopranos was actually based on their life. How funny is that? Undercover agents who infiltrated the DeCavalcante family went so far as to say, "These guys were a bunch of dimwits. They wouldn't know a big score if it hit them right in the face. Ouch, that's pretty bad. To make matters worse, agents even stated that the characters in The Sopranos were much more successful and organized. Meanwhile, the real guys were a bunch of bums, and there was nothing organized about them. Which leads us to Ralphie Guarino, the wannabe wise guy, who single-handedly brought down the whole operation. Ralphie Guarino was a petty criminal and a degenerate gambler from Staten Island. He was also an associate of the DeCavalcante family and a natural-born hustler. On January 1998, Ralphie received some intelligence from a World Trade Center worker named Salvatore Calciano, who told him when a Brinks armored truck would arrive to deliver money to the 11th floor of the North Tower, Tower 1, of the World Trade Center. The two of them planned the heist and recruited 3 other associates to commit the actual robbery itself. On January 14, 1998, a Brinks truck pulled up to the World Trade Center at around 8:30 a.m. and began unloading bags of money. They were met by 3 masked gunmen inside the elevator and quickly handed over the cash. But the gunmen made a very stupid mistake. As they were exiting the elevator, they took off their ski masks and their faces were caught on camera. I mean, how dumb can you be? When it was all said and done, the robbers left with over $1.6 million in cash. One of the biggest heists in American history. The 3 gunmen were quickly identified, and they did not hesitate to spill the beans on Ralphie. The next day, the FBI went to Ralphie's Staten Island home and gave him an ultimatum. Either give them more information or go to jail for a very long time. Ralphie quickly agreed to become an FBI informant and told them that he could help them bring down the DeCavalcante crime family. The FBI immediately agreed, and Ralphie was once again a free man. The FBI gave Ralphie cell phones rigged with surveillance equipment to distribute to all DeCavalcante family members. This would be the beginning of the end for the New Jersey family. Ralphie's status in the family grew, and so did his earnings. Of course, all the money came from the feds. Nonetheless, Ralphie was now a made man in the family, courtesy of Vinny Ocean. The void that Ralphie filled belonged to one Joseph Masella, who was found murdered in Brooklyn in October 1998, again courtesy of Vinny Ocean. Masella owed over $450,000 to various wise guys in other crime families, including the Gambinos. Vinny was sick and tired of Masella and thought of him as an embarrassment to the family. Remember the conflict between Vinny and Charles Mujuri we spoke about earlier in the video? What we didn't mention is that Vinny gave Masella the order to whack Mujuri, who at the time was on the 3-man council of the crime family. After spending hours outside Mujuri's home, where they were surveilled by Mujuri's state trooper neighbor, Masella got cold feet and fled to Florida, refusing the contract hit on Mujuri. This caused much confusion and doubt that Masella might have also been working secretly with the FBI. In October 1998, Masella received a call from a bookie named Steve. Steve reportedly had $10,000 to deliver to him on an outstanding debt. When Masella arrived at the designated spot, he was told instead to go to the golf course parking lot in Dyker Heights. When he arrived at the parking lot and entered the golf course, Masella was shot multiple times inside of his car. Because of Ralphie's wiretaps, in December 1999, Vinny Ocean and 38 other members of the DeCavalcante crime family were arrested by the FBI in one of the largest mob busts in New Jersey history. The arrests were devastating for the family. The indictment named nearly every high-ranking member, including capos and soldiers. Among the evidence collected was wiretap recordings where family members openly discussed murder plots, informant testimonies that detailed extortion and racketeering operations, financial records that traced back to Vinny's businesses, including his strip club, Wiggles. One of the most damaging recordings captured a DeCavalcante capo comparing their organization to the Sopranos, joking that the show was an almost perfect reflection of their real lives. With overwhelming evidence by the feds and the federal prosecution, certain members of the crime family were left with two choices: either die in jail or turn federal witness and betray the family. The first one to do so was a high-ranking member of the family and Vinny's longtime friend and confidant, Anthony Capo. Capo decided to cooperate with authorities and become a federal witness. He pleaded guilty to 11 murder conspiracies, participation in 2 murders, including the murder of Fred Weiss and former acting boss John D'Amato. His testimony was instrumental in prosecuting members of the DeCavalcante family, as well as individuals from the Colombo and Genovese crime families. Anthony Capo, described by many as a hothead with extreme bipolar disorder. He also suffered from alcohol and drug addiction. Remind you of anybody? After his cooperation, Capo entered the Federal Witness Protection Program. Anthony Capo passed away from a heart attack on January 23, 2012, at the age of 52. Now, back to the star of the show. Anthony Capo was not the only one singing the blues. Vinny Ocean did too. You see, Vinny was faced with the same dilemma: stay loyal and die in prison, or flip and cooperate with the feds. In a shocking move, Vinny chose to become a federal witness and testify against his family, the same family he was in charge of. Say it ain't so, Vinny. Say it ain't so. Vinny confessed to killing Fred Weiss and planning the murder of former acting boss John D'Amato, the murder of Joseph Masella, and the attempted murder plot against fellow family member Charles Majuri. Vinny also implicated other DeCavalcante family members in various crimes from extortion, racketeering, and of course murder. The DeCavalcante crime family was done. After becoming a federal witness, Vinny and his family entered the Witness Protection Program. Authorities relocated them to Houston, Texas, under a new identity. Despite leaving the mafia, Vinny couldn't resist getting involved in business again. He bought and operated another strip club in Houston, a move that raised eyebrows considering his past. In 2009, the New York Daily News exposed Vinny's new life in witness protection as a strip club owner in Houston, where he has been living under the name James Cabela. Vinny was still living the lavish life inside of a mansion in a gated Houston community. It's true what they say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Although Vinny Ocean is compared to Tony Soprano, they are also very different in many ways. Tony was more violent and emotionally unstable, while Vinny was more calculating and controlled. Vinny chose to flip and enter the Witness Protection Program, while Tony would have never turned informant and kept his oath of omerta. Though Tony's fate remains uncertain, Vinny is alive but disgraced in the mob world, forever being labeled a rat. In the end, The Sopranos gave us a compelling version of the New Jersey mob, but reality proved that even powerful wise guys like Vincent Palermo sometimes trade honor for survival. Like the old saying goes, there's no honor among thieves. Was Vinny Ocean a survivor who played the game smart? Or was he just another wise guy who couldn't handle the heat? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications for more cool videos from the Health Wealth Diary.